All right. It's the return of the Shoeshine. It's your boy Dave from the 408 coming to you from my studio in San Jose, California. Joining me as always, my co-host from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia's Philly Irish, Mr. Drew Evo. Que pasa, homie?
What's up, Dave?
All right, man. And I'd like to say thank you to everybody that's been tuning into our shows that have been archived on YouTube. We've been doing the show for a really long time, over a year now on Periscope. And as everyone knows, Twitter's moving that, is doing away with that live streaming. So please, if you like the show that we're bringing to you, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification, or even just comment and tell us how much you think we stink. Hey, saludos to A-Rod83 Boxeo, one of our homies from the Leave It in the Ring network. And speaking of Leave It in the Ring network, they got some great programming this week. Our friend David was going to do a show tonight, but he is moving it tomorrow. So make sure you tune in to Leave It in the Ring on YouTube, because they got two stellar shows tomorrow. They have Mr. Espinoza, who happens to be the manager of a lot of boxers, including the manager of the newest 130-pound champion. I'm talking about Oscar Valdez's manager will be on tomorrow at Leave It in the Ring. And also, not to be outdone, our homies GFunky and D-Styles will be interviewing Gabe Flores, the hot 130-pound prospect from Stockton, California, with an impressive 6-round KO. Drew, it was an exciting weekend, but I felt a little deflated at the end of it all because my pick was way off. So, Drew, I'm going to let you take the floor and gloat for a moment, because Mr. Drew Evo, unlike some people have said, called this fight correctly. I'm going to stop right after this, Drew. I'll give the floor to you. It is National Margarita Day, and Oscar Valdez is from Jalisco, so I will be preparing myself a new tequila that I've never tried before. And I'm not sponsored, dude. Check this baby out. Oh, yeah. I have two of them. We're going to find out who's got the better spicy tequila. This one is El Padrino from Jalisco. And I'm going to make myself a spicy margarita. I've never tried this one. 1 full ounce. All right, Drew, talk to me while I play bartender for myself.
All right. I wish I had a drink too, but okay. Let's just say this. If you guys watched the round table last Thursday, by the way, if awesome. You saw me in chat, I said Oscar Valdez is going to knock out Burchell in round 10. And you can see me do it. I put it down there 3 times that it Valdez in 10. My record of picking exactly the results of this fight is outstanding. I predicted the 5th round KO of Povetkin and I said he was going to KO right in 5.
Okay. But we're still talking about this Valdez fight. You got it on the right round 10, because just about everybody else had Burchell, right?
Hey, you guys should be making money off me. If you guys betted on this in the 10th round, you need to give me some money over this. I should have betted, but you guys should at least give me a tip. Say, thank you, Drew. Drew, you are good when it comes to decisions. I need to come to you, man. I need to make some money off of Drew.
GFunky, what's up? Because GFunky, the host of Hispanics Causing Panic, 1/2, he's in the room, and he got it right. He had the video, and he kept pressing it. He had that famous video of the one time that Burchell was knocked out. I don't know how old it was. The video was actually in 4:3 as opposed to 16:9, so that gives you an idea. That wasn't widescreen television yet. But he nailed it, because GFunky said that Burchell would eat that left hook. And indeed, that left hook was there to be landing all night. Burchell had no defense. He kind of has a limited defense. We already knew that, right? But again, I was pressing that he has this the relentless Mexican pressure. He's huge. He's strong. Drew, I don't know what the hell. Somebody tell me what the hell happened, because Burchell didn't come to fight, man. From round 1, it was obvious something was wrong.
It's boxing, man. Sweet science. He got him in angers, boxed him, know when to box him, know when to go after him. He did angers. He kept on moving, sticking and moving for the whole time, able to get the punches in. Hey, we all know, but Burchell can't defend against a left hook, and he was really nailing that left hook on him. But that knockout was knockout of the year. I'm already calling it. That's knockout of the year. He just went down like this. Boom. No, hey, I'm glad he's okay, though. I'm really glad he's okay.
That was amongst one of the most brutal knockouts. I know we just saw Leo Santa Cruz get knocked out, but you and I were talking about that knockout being on par with Marquez's famous KO of Manny Pacquiao, where people were alarmed. And our first thoughts and prayers were with Berchelt that, hey, I hope he's not seriously hurt. GFunky, you can call in anytime. I'll pick up the phone right now at 702, and anybody can join in and give us their take, 702-710-3627, because our boy GFunky, he had it right, man. For me, as someone who watches boxing religiously, Drew, I just go on past performances, right? I'm going to take the bet that makes sense to me. Berchelt, 6 straight defenses. But Valdez, let's read this comment. A-Rod says, Valdez came in more prepared, better shape. Looks like he's learning more from Reynoso. And Reynoso, people are already calling him trainer of the year. We saw what he did with Mr. Ryan Garcia already. A sensational win, a win with Frank Sanchez. I know maybe it's too early to say he's trainer of the year, but Oscar Valdez showed up, outboxed him, outclassed him, put on a clinic. And if there isn't something physically wrong, like that Berchelt had the coronavirus, I honestly think he's done with 130 pounds, man. To gain 16 pounds. Did you hear what he ate at the MGM Grand Casino?
What?
he ordered like 3 large Hawaiian ham pizzas with a pineapple. Like 3 large, they say. He ate like 3 of those immediately after the scale. And the day of, he was 16 pounds. He was weighing in just about 146, a welterweight. That's a lot of weight to put back on. And I kept wondering, is that the only thing that was wrong with Berchelt, that his body's finally rejecting making 130 pounds? Drew, do you think he pulled the trigger in any round?
He had a good round. I believe it was like 6 or 7. It's 2 straight rounds. He had 2 good rounds, and they're probably like the 2 only rounds I gave him in the fight that he was actually pulling the trigger in. And the second round in a row that I had him given him, he barely pulled that round off, in my opinion, because Valdez came back at the end and countered him. But Dave, I'm just gonna ask: are you gonna stop going against me? You're gonna finally agree with me on the decisions now, man? I should be the one picking the fights here on the show. He's like, oh, go ahead, Drew. I agree. I got what you're saying, Drew.
A-Rod says he didn't learn from Andy Ruiz, he is part of the Eddie Reynoso. It's not the same camp. Do not eat pizza or tacos before the fight. Oh, man. I'm going to put up the scorecard because the scorecard was shocking. And one of them is a very, very well-respected judge, Max DeLuca. Drew, I'm just imposing this over your face for a quick second. Frank DeLuca. Frank is a common Italian name. Excuse me. Max DeLuca had the first 3 rounds for Berchelt. I don't know what was Max DeLuca watching, dude. The first 3 rounds for Berchelt.
I'm looking at my phone so I can look at this course.
Oh, I'll put it back up. I know it's very, very small, but yeah, Max DeLuca had the first 3 rounds for Berchelt, and also Dave Moretti gave him rounds 2 and 3, which to me was shocking because I honestly didn't have any of those. I'm going to take this call. I think it's our homie GFunky from Hispanics Causing Panic.
The hell?
Yo, GFunky, is this you, GFunky?
Orale raza, GFunky of ATP, what's going on?
What's up, man? I'm so happy to have you on our show for the first time. Of course, we are both on that Leave It in the Ring network, and you have that immensely popular show, Hispanics Causing Panics, tomorrow night. And I want to get to your guest because I saw the graphic for it. I'm very excited for your guest. You guys bring it every week. But talk to me, GFunky, because I was arguing with Drew all last week, and you were arguing with everyone else on the round table, including your co-host, D-Styles. You had it right.
Yeah, well, you get some right, you get some wrong, but in this case, like, I don't know, man, like, it was just pretty obvious to me that style-wise, Valdez just had what it takes to be able to catch Alacran with something big, man. I try to bring up some things, some footage, to let these guys know what I was talking about. How he's good at putting pressure and throwing a lot of punches. You know, offensively, he's a phenomenal fighter. Throws every punch in the book. But when it comes to defense, man, there's a lot of things that need to be worked on. And, you know, in this fight, he was in there with a guy who had the ability to really capitalize on those mistakes. When I looked up and down the guys he had been fighting, I'm looking at him like, man, I don't really see a good, sharp counterpuncher in this resume at all. So those are some things right there that I noticed right away, man. And I just said, yeah, I think Valdez has got the power to get this guy out of there, man, if he catches him with something, man. And, you know, he came in swinging away, hands down, chin in the air, and it was good night.
Yeah, most definitely. And one thing I regrettably said, I think I called in one of the shows this week, and I had talked about his diet and how I was concerned that his not just vegan, but plant-based lifestyle was a concern for me, that he would not have the power. So I was even more wrong on that case, because he clearly had enough power to dispose and hurt him bad. In that fourth round, GFunky, did you ever see Burchell's legs come back? Drew, did you see that? Either of you guys see his legs come back?
Nah, after the first knockdown, I didn't think he was actually in the fight. I think that was like the turning point when he first got knocked down. I thought the fight was going to be over there, but, you know, he survived it. But I think after like round 7 is when I thought they should have stopped the fight, because he looked out of it.
And it kept going. GFunky, did you think he still had legs? Or were you excited to see a rally? Or were you impressed by his rally back?
I got to give him some credit, man.
It's tough. He's a warrior.
One tough guy. He was badly hurt, man. I mean, those legs, I mean, I don't want to be too mean, but he looked like a newborn pony. You know, when they're fresh out of the mother's womb and they're trying to walk and the legs are all shaky and they can't do it. Like, I mean, he was just all over the place. And he took some hellacious shots after that.
Solid,
and
right?
I mean,
Clean.
His shots were landing clean. Oh, man. And he stood up. He's a tough guy, man. Strong. Those legs, I don't know how they kept him up, but they did. I would say probably around, I want to say like midway through round 6, I think he finally cleared the cobwebs a little bit. The legs were back again. But then round 9, he gets caught with a beautiful uppercut, puts him down. And it was right around, I want to say it was probably right around the 8th round when I kind of figured in my head, this fight is over. And the reason why I said that to myself was because Valdez started to switch up southpaw, and he was still hot-shotting this guy. And I'm like, man, he's having success switching up southpaw. Like, this fight is over.
That's right. That's something that the ESPN commentators hadn't seen him do very effectively. All of a sudden, you knew that Valdez was in complete 100% control, to the point where he was basically playing an instrument like a jazz musician. He was like, well, what else can I do to put him out and get him out of there? But I want to ask the chat right now if they think that this is the kind of fight that may have taken years off of Burchell's career, or possibly just be the career ender right here, something that's going to put him in a severe downswing. A fight like this. This was a horrendous beating he took. Drew, I'll start with you.
Like, I was watching the fight, and like they kept on saying the uppercut is the punch he's not going to see coming. And I thought he should have nailed the uppercut sooner, because Burchell kept on getting hit with the left hook and everything. You would think that he will eventually try to defend himself against the left hook, and that would be the time to nail the uppercut. Because, as they said, the main punch that hurts you the most is the one you don't see coming. And I just didn't understand why he didn't throw the uppercut until near the end of the fight. He could have got him out of there maybe 3 rounds before with that uppercut.
Most definitely, most definitely. GFunky, did you notice how wild? So one thing I always enjoyed Burchell in the past is 6 straight defenses, but those punches, not having his legs underneath, they were wild. They were just ripe for being counterpunched, and he ate that counterpunch. So that was a brutal knockout, man. Do you think he's going to take a downslide for the rest of his career?
It's hard to say right now. We know all the tests came back good, which is, that's great news. I'm glad he's doing well. It was definitely scary to see the way he went down and things like that. But, someone like myself, I my job, I work with special needs children, and I'm first aid certified and things like that. So like, these kids, they could have a medical emergency at any time. So, all the things that they were doing is all the things that I was taught to do when somebody has something like that going on. I did see some signs pretty early before it was kind of obvious to everybody that he was okay. But, they did the right thing by examining him, not letting him move, send him straight to the hospital. That's one of the first things you do also. You call emergency services right away. And they got him in the place where he needed to be, and I was like, oh, he's going to be fine. I have a feeling he's going to be okay. And then, later in the night, they came out and said he was fine. But, it's a tough loss. It's a brutal knockout, but I think he should be okay, man. But I really think he would do himself a lot of good if he just moved up. I think it was pretty clear that he's having a hard time making 130 pounds with that big frame that he has. I really think going up to 135 will definitely do him some good. But, at the end of the day, it's his decision. But that's what I would do if I was in his position. I would definitely move up.
Yeah. Now, GFunky, you guys have brought the father of Teofimo Lopez Sr. is a friend of Hispanics causing panic. He's always a riot when he's on your show. I mean, it's one of the best interviews I've heard this year. I just want to play with Teofimo Lopez that somebody caught him outside of the fight and what he thought of that performance. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
Said he was just too much damage.
What'd you give Oscar Valdez performance?
Man, a 20, a freaking 20. The way he had his own, just the placement, the way that they worked. However, the only thing I could say, body shots. That's all he needed. But these are two guys, two Mexican fighters that going in there.
I can't.
They got something to lose. They all do. We all got something to lose.
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
You didn't hear now. Teofimo Lopez. Hopefully, it came through for the audience. Now he gave Valdez a 20. He said, if you asked me about his performance, it was a 20. Although he would have liked to see more body shots, but there was no complaints. And who happened to be standing and was photobombed that interview was Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson was in the audience. Listen, last week we were gloating about these dream fights at 130, and nobody thought Burchell wasn't going to be included in that conversation. All of a sudden now we have to talk about Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez. I know it's early, but do you think this fight is going to happen this year, GFunky?
This year, there's a good possibility of that happening. I think I've seen the matchmaker for Top Rank say something about he wants it to be a unification bout. Now, I'm not sure if that means Shakur is going to get a shot at Herring or Frampton, whoever wins that fight, if that fight ever happens. But if he's able to get his hands on that belt, then that's definitely a big fight at 130, unification, Shakur versus Valdez. I hope it does, man, because it's an interesting fight. I think it's a lot closer than a lot of people think. I know there's a lot of people that are very high on Shakur Stevenson, but I think it's a really good fight. I do, man.
So I have to bring this guy up, and we'll segue into this, Drew, because Gabe Flores, who was on that card representing the 209 Stockton, I know he's a Northern California guy like me and like you, GFunky. He finally answered a lot of critics' questions with this impressive knockout of his own, a 6-round knockout over a very sturdy guy, Velez. He put on quite an amazing performance. He's got his eye on the winner of Frampton Herring whenever that fight happens. Of course, if you don't know about that 130-pound WBO title fight, it's been postponed. He wants the title shot at one of those guys. What do you think about that? Because it looks to me like you're going to have him as a special guest, right?
Yeah, he's going to be on tomorrow, and we'll ask him what he looks forward to doing in the future or the near future. But I agree with you, man. He took his time early. I know that his dad, after about 3-4 rounds, was asking him, sorry, it's time to pick up the pace a little bit. And once he did, he got him out of there, man. Again, another shot high on the head, just almost like the same left hook that hurt Burchell in the 4th round. High on the head, near the temple, legs were gone. I was impressed, man, because that was the one thing that a lot of people were concerned with Flores is his power. Mm-hmm. And he was able to get a guy out of there who I don't think has ever been knocked out I think he took some losses, but I don't know if he's ever been knocked out before. Well, he's been knocked out his last fight. What am I talking about? But yeah, it was a tough, sturdy guy, like you said, cagey veteran.
Yeah.
Took his time and got him out of there, man. I was impressed.
Drew, what were your thoughts on Gabe Flores' performance? I know you've seen him fight. He had gotten criticism that he's kind of unexciting, a little bit like Shakur's been unexciting recently, but a great boxer nonetheless. But what'd you think about him finally knocking somebody out on primetime?
Oh, I was happy for him. He needed to knock somebody out because I didn't think no one has taken him seriously until he actually, you see him knocking somebody out the way he did. Like, he has to, like, he can box his ass off, but can this guy knock somebody out? Can he get him out of there when he needs to, so he doesn't have to spend the whole fight, like, trying to just win a decision?
Most doubt, no doubt. Shout out to Johnny Reyes in the room. What's up, brother? Our casual fan of the week. Last week he was a hit. GFunky, we kind of got this idea from our colleague Rob Boxing that we find like casual fans that want to get down, you know. So we got one of our friends, John Reyes. A shout out to him if he wants to call in, because he actually he was so upset that he was called a casual fan that he put it on Instagram that he was watching the fights this weekend. You know, like he made a story. He's like, look at me. I'm watching the fights. Oh, somebody got knocked out. It's on my IG now. So shout out to Johnny. Yeah, that's pretty
John,
funny.
I hope you watch at least an hour of that.
He fit it in between sexy time. So, hey, not to be outdone on that Top Rank card while we still have you on the phone, GFunky. I know you're a busy man, but you're another prospect that everyone here has been following, and he was a pleasure on your show, as well as the time I got to meet him in person to interview him, was young Xander Zayas, Puerto Rican, 147-pound prospect who's, you know, he's aiming to be prospect of the year, and it started off a really good win for him. He got in the rounds. What do you think about his development? I'd like to know what you think, GFunky, and also Drew. What do you guys think about his development? It's only February 2021.
I actually liked what I saw, man. I think it's a good thing for these young guys, especially, you know, he's 18, you know, he's young,
yeah,
man. Get some rounds in there, get some good experience with these guys. And, you know, he was in there with a guy who was pretty crafty. You know, he had that Philly show defense. He's a Philadelphia fighter. Shout out to Philly Irish. You know, those fighters, man, they're always tough that come out of Philadelphia, man. So I thought it was a good learning experience for him. I feel like he won every round pretty clear. He got hit with a couple of shots, but he landed a lot more shots, and I love how he ends his combinations to the body, man. He was throwing, you know, 1-2, and then left hook, then finish with a left hook to the body. I think that's just beautiful stuff there, man. And you really don't see that a lot from a lot of young kids. You know, they like to headhunt and stuff like that, but I love how he goes to the body. I think that's going to pay off in the future for him, man. But I thought it was a good learning experience for him to go the distance with a guy like that. And, you know, I hope he continues to build, man. But he's a really good kid, man. It was a pleasure having him on the show.
For real. Drew, would you see in Xander Zayas, he hasn't been featured on ESPN in a minute, but he was featured on this televised portion of the card?
I think the most important thing that he got rounds in.
Yeah, you know, and that says a lot, right? 6 rounds.
Yeah, because, like, later on, you're going to get tested eventually. And, like, if you come in there knocking people out, people are going to eventually test you to see how you are in deep waters. And the more rounds he can get in, the more better off he's going to be. But, you know, you also want to be exciting and knock people out when you can easily get them out of there. But I think they're doing the right path. They're starting to give him more competition now than that. I think he's going to actually be a title contender by the time he gets in his maybe 16, 17 professional fight. I think he can possibly go into an eliminator.
No, I like your thoughts on that, because Teofimo Lopez believed in himself, and Teofimo Lopez and him are very close friends all the way going back to the amateurs. And Teofimo was able to do that in exactly that many fights. Just his path towards a unified world champion, not just, let alone just a unified world champion. He had already was world champion, then unification. It's insane. So, GFunky, are you happy with how he's coming along? Taking into consideration he was just in high school last year.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Right?
You know, like when I pictured myself as 18, I was nowhere near that disciplined. You know, but yeah, I like what I'm seeing from him, and you know, I'm really looking forward to the future with this kid. I know his last fight was a real short one. I think it was only like 1 round or something like that. So
Yeah, he's learning on the job.
It is good to see him get some rounds in. Yeah, get
absolutely.
some rounds in. Experience right there, man. I love that, and can't wait to see what the future holds for this kid.
Yeah, no doubt. So also, Gabe Flores was the youngest before Xander Zayas came along. Gabe Flores was the youngest fighter ever to be signed at Top Rank, and that was special in its own until Xander came along. So those two, you know, we have to give them some consideration that Gabe Flores is literally just 20. He's not even old enough to have a drink yet in Las Vegas, and he just moved to Las Vegas. And Xander, forget about it. You know, Xander just got out of high school. These kids there's no real rush.
You can take them to strip clubs.
Oh yeah, well that's true. But
oh boy,
let's keep those kids away from that.
Right?
Let's not put the Adrian Broner path because we saw what Adrian Broner. And I want to get to Adrian Broner before the end of the show, as well as the Canelo Alvarez fight this Saturday. But both of those kids, Top Rank is doing a really good job, both with a Mexican-American top prospect and a young Puerto Rican prospect. We know how important they are in the development in bringing in new fans, young generation of new fighters. I think they're doing just right. And there are other promotional companies doing well as well. But let's get into some AB talk while we got GFunky, because Showtime went toe to toe. And the scorecards for the AB fight were ridiculous. But before we get to him, Robert Easter looked kind of good to me. Anybody else think Robert Easter, for being out of the ring for just as long as time, over a year, that he didn't look so bad at 140 pounds? Anyone? Am I the only one who...
Honestly,
yeah.
And I'm sure you could imagine, I was pumped up after getting my prediction right, after everybody said I was going to be wrong. That I didn't even watch that fight until, I want to say, probably like Sunday night. I finally sat down and watched the AB fight, and got to tell you, man, you know my catchphrase on HCP, man. It was dumpster juice. The fight was boring. AB, again, not letting his hands go. You know, that's the thing with him. And not only that, those scorecards were dumpster juice, man. I thought Santiago won the fight, man. But you know, it is what it is. And AB, you know, I don't know, man. I'm not quite sure what he's gonna do. He just seems like he's just there collecting checks, man. I don't think he really cares about winning anymore. You know, that's just my personal opinion of the guy. You know,
I actually, like many people, tuned in a little bit midway through, and then caught the whole fight in its entirety in replay. But here's some show stats from Showstats here. Santiago, 83 of 364 jabs, 124 of 333 power connect, and 91 total body shots, 11 body shots for AB, 49 jabs for AB, 49 power shots for a total of 98 of 338. And somehow AB gets another gift decision. He's got quite a bit of gift decisions. The most famous one in my book that kind of pissed me off was the one against Paulie Malignaggi. But Drew, what do you think? Another gift decision?
Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously. Did you just look at that? He's landed over 100 more punches than Adrian Broner, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, this guy got robbed.
How the hell do you win a fight getting outlanded by over 100 punches?
The most reputable judge on that entire panel is Glenn Feldman, and he had it 115-112 for AB. And the shocking thing, you were the first one to tell me this, Drew, that Broner got awarded round 1, where he landed no punches.
A round with no punches. How?
GFunky, your thoughts on somebody getting a round from the judges who did not land a punch on CompuBox? According to CompuBox, he did not land a punch.
Well, maybe the guy thought he was looking at Willie Pep and gave him the round. You know, I don't know. There's no other explanation. But I can guarantee you this: that was not Willie Pep in there, and he did not deserve to get that round. just a bad scorecard from a bad judge, and kind of the same thing what happened in the main event on the other card, ESPN. I mean, I seen one of the judges had gave the first 3 rounds of Berchelt. I'm just like I almost fell out of my seat when I seen it. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, but still, like, what are you looking at? Like, these judges, man, something's got to be done, man. It's getting out of hand.
I think judges have to be drug tested before this fight, before fights. I don't care because I don't care. I don't care. They gotta be drug tested or something or vision test. Let's do a vision test before we watch this fight because there's some blind mother effers out there judging fights that should not be judging, or maybe a little bit too old to judge.
Yeah, shout out to Joe Lopez 40 ounce who says AB is also known as Willie Pep too. Where does that put AB this year? I mean, he's acting like he's back in the mix and he can't make up his mind whether he's 140. He clearly missed 147. And Jovi Santiago, all the credit to him, he came in assuming to make the weight at 140 and then has to fight a bloated Broner. He was already at a disadvantage there and still showed up and fought a great fight and didn't get the correct decision. So I don't know. GFunky, you think AB is going to be player in either weight class this year?
No.
Yeah.
I think AB's done. I just get that feeling like, the people want to make the excuses like, well, you say he just wants to get paid. Like, of course, surprise fighters, like, of course we know they're going to get paid for fighting, but what we mean by that is he doesn't care about winning anymore. As long as he's able to get the fights, to get him paid, to me, that's really what he's looking for. Because he just doesn't have it anymore. I used to like this guy. I really did like this guy early in his career. I actually used to defend him a lot against a lot of the crazy Mayweather fans back when AB was coming up. They would say things like, this guy ain't as good as Mayweather. I don't know who he thinks he is. But, it's like, hey, man, take it easy. It's still young, and, started to look good. At the Marco fight, he looked fantastic. And then it was just downhill from there, man. And, I lost all faith in AB. I just don't have it anymore. And I think he's just there to collect checks, man. That's it.
Yeah, you mentioned DeMarco, which was the fight that put him on the map at 135 pounds. He had already won multiple championships in multiple weight divisions, and he always uses that to market himself. But I wonder what would have happened if he had stayed disciplined and continued to contend at 135 with all these exciting fighters at 135, from Teofimo to Ryan Garcia to Lomachenko. Man, there were so many fights that we could have seen him in if he had just been disciplined in weight. And GFunky and Drew, I want to tell you this. I was telling Drew before this that I've been talking with this prospect, and we want to talk about prospects at PBC. At 140 pounds, Jesus El Mono Ramos, will be fighting Saturday at 5 o'clock on free TV on Fox Television. He's the co-main event. Believe he'll be the co-main of Darrell. GFunky, if you haven't seen Jesus Ramos fight at 140, this kid has got a 90% knockout percentage. He's on his 15th professional fight. I think this kid is going to be a seriously big deal. He's a tremendous puncher and southpaw at 140 pounds. I'm working on either getting him on. It'll be a surprise if we can get him this Thursday for after his press conferences on the roundtable. So let's cross our fingers. We'll be talking with Jesus Ramos, who will be on PBC, a top prospect to watch at 140. I definitely don't think AB could handle that young Mexican-American kid. And again, he's only 19. So shout out to him and his camp. Hopefully we will be speaking with him and getting to know him. So let's move on to the main event. It's time to put our predictions out while we have GFunky. We'll wrap up this show early. Canelo Alvarez returns, and he's not returning to Las Vegas or Texas. He is going to Miami to fight this Turkish guy who no one can understand how in the world did he get ranked as his number one. I'm talking about Yildirm.
Before we make our predictions, we don't know this guy's going to get his ass kicked. Let's just predict the round he's getting knocked out in.
Drew just wants to say what round he's in. Let me bring up the odds if you haven't seen these odds yet, because they're quite amazing. Check this out, GFunky. Right now, the current odds. Let's see this one. It was wild. It's in. Come on. You think I'd have this already here. Canelo Alvarez negative 10,000. Avni Yildirm plus 1,600, which means you'd have to bet 10,000. If I'm correct, $10,000 to make $100.
100.
Or what? If you bet on Canelo?
Yeah, if you want to bet on Canelo, you have to bet
Yeah.
$10,000 to make $100. What does that tell you? Have you seen this guy's? He's been working out with Joel Diaz, and he's kind of a big puncher. But if you saw his fight against Darrell, where there was that nasty cut, but even more so, I went back and watched the fight. Canelo gave him a shot because he was a sparring partner. That's right. He's a big dude, and he actually can punch pretty hard. But I went back and watched this fight with Chris Eubanks Jr. at 168 pound, and I try to put on my GFunky hat because GFunky goes through the tape. Chris Eubank landed the nastiest uppercuts all night repeatedly. Like, the guy just doesn't learn. He eats an uppercut and he keeps eating them. I'm going to start with you, GFunky. What's going to happen if Canelo starts landing the uppercut in the pocket?
If he starts landing that thing on the regular, it's going to be a short night for the Anvil Neidhart or whatever his name is. I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name, but yeah, he's going out. There's a reason why he's such a big underdog, and I know people are upset with Canelo fighting this guy. He's a mandatory. I mean, we all know that, but really, you should just be mad at the WBC for allowing this guy to become the mandatory when I believe he just lost his last fight. It doesn't even make sense.
Mad at the WBC. Drew Evo, Philly Irish was born mad at the WBC.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. But I'm gonna say round 7. I think he's gonna play with his food a little bit, give the fans a couple of rounds, and get him out of there. That's what I think. Round 7, Canelo Alvarez, knockout.
Round 7 knockout on paper for GFunky, and I'll move on to Drew. Because Drew,
What a joke.
Oh, you're still pissed at the WCC.
No, this is a joke. How the hell do you get a guy to be number 1 in the WBC when he lost his last fight by a knockout to a guy that's number 4 on that same ranking? Anthony Durrell's ranked number 4, guys, on the WBC. How's this guy ranked number 1 when he knocked him the hell out? You want to know what? This is a freaking joke. You went from making like different belts to promoting guys just to have easy fights for Canelo. Like, I'm gonna be honest, and I'm being generous. I'm giving him 5 rounds. I'm being generous.
You're giving him 5 rounds to be generous. Now,
because the next upset I'm picking is I'm gonna place a $50 bet on this guy before it happens. I'm betting Billy Joe Sanders beats Canelo Alvarez.
Okay, well, we'll get to that in May. But of course, the reason why, and I want to play devil's advocate because there's a lot of people. What's that, GFunky?
You still have the odds up by chance, because I want to know what the over-under is, man, because that might be an interesting bet right there.
Well, it is an interesting bet because, no, I don't have it up anymore, but it is definitely an interesting bet. I mean, all these people who took a chance on Valdez this weekend got rewarded handsomely. And, I don't see the same equivalency between these two type of fighters. Valdez is a 2-time Olympian, and even our guest fighter that we had, my friend Francisco Esparza from Vegas said, listen, Valdez does have all the tools. And he was right about that. He had all the tools necessary to beat him, and he showed up and applied and lived up to his potential. I don't know about Yildirm having what it takes anywhere to be on the same level. Canelo's levels above him.
It's a prayer.
It's
a prayer.
It's a prayer's chance. But I just want to say, playing devil's advocate and for Canelo and his camp, not every fight really can be the type of dangerous fight that we just saw this past weekend where your career could be potentially ending. These kind of Mexican wars. Not every fight's going to be like that. If he's only 30 and he expects to fight 2 to 3 times more till he's in his mid-30s, he can't keep taking those kind of fights. So I'll actually defend him in a sense that, look, February, who gives a crap about February? We want to see him fight somebody tough May, Cinco de Mayo, and I want to see him fight somebody tough September the 18th. And to get there, he's got to stay in shape and injury-free. So does anybody agree with me on that, on this conversation, that they're just looking out for him to stay injury-free? No, not from Drew, huh? GFunky?
Yo, for 2
Oh
days.
yeah, we lost GFunky, but we were gonna wrap up this show. So what was I saying? Thank you so much, GFunky. Hispanics Causing Panic. His show is on tomorrow. Don't miss that show tomorrow because Gabe Flores is gonna be on that. But Drew, I was just saying that Canelo Alvarez, the star of boxing, by the way, now he owns Canelo Promotions, just been approved in Las Vegas. He's going the Mayweather route. He's his own businessman. Does he deserve an easy fight every once in a while? Because, I mean, we might as well get used to it. I think it's going to happen quite often.
Hell no. He had too many easy fights as it is already. He should get tested, too, by the way. Okay.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. If you have a guy that comes up from 154 or up to 168, and he's doing that to Caleb Smith's arm, I'm sorry. That looks funny to me.
Oh, I just want to thank you, GFunky. We're going to wrap up the show anyways, and make sure you check out GFunky's show, Hispanics Causing Panic, and Hispanics Causing Panic Uncensored on the GFunky channel, and the Roundtable. A fantastic call today. So I'm going to lay it out here. Canelo Alvarez by stoppage. And Drew, I think you said 5.
I'm being generous.
I'm just going to play it. It's going to be 8. It's going to be 8 rounds. Canelo's going to give the fans a little something extra and maybe carry the homeboy an extra round or two, the necessary, just to get in some practice.
I pray that it ends quickly so I can just keep my eyes on Joseph Parker's fight.
Is Drew saying that Canelo's gloves are loaded or that his taco meat is loaded?
Drew's saying that that Canelo should be tested.
Tested again. They never did bust Barry Bonds of the San Francisco Giants, and they never will because he retired already. And Manny Pacquiao was accused countless of times, and Manny Pacquiao doesn't like needles. So I don't know where we're going to go with that one. It is boxing.
Someone accused my favorite fighter and disrespect Philly too, Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins is the greatest middleweight of all time. I'm saying that hands down. That guy beat every contender, never ducked anybody in his career. I'm saying that right now.
Well, if you got a chance, make sure you chime in to David and Milcar. Leave it on the ring because their show is postponed tomorrow, and they're going to have some kind of middleweight discussion about Triple G, and of course Triple G's successful middleweight, 20 or plus defenses, and we have to compare that to B-Hop. I mean, it just has to be compared, right? Yeah.
He ain't got nothing on B-Hop. I don't care if anybody brings up, he never got tested. He never took a test. He did it the Philly way, guys. The Philly way. We're from Philly. We love the fight. We're from Philly. We love the fight.
Yeah. But he's also an alien. Not sure where he was born. So, Drew, it was the executioner, the alien from outer space. Listen, today was National Margarita Day, and a lot of people say margarita for ladies, but I enjoy a good cocktail, especially if it's tequila. And we're celebrating the fact that Oscar Valdez from Jalisco, the home of and the birth of tequila. I was going to do a shootout. Literally, I had this this is the new one, El Padrino Spicy. And then this is my go-to Ghost Pepper. This one is hot as hell. I never got to compare them, and I'll tell you why. Because I love this El Padrino, man. This thing is the bomb. Drew, this thing made
a shot for us of that other one before we go off.
This El Padrino is a contender, but it's definitely not as hot as that Ghost Pepper one, but it is a contender. So if you're going to be looking to drink this weekend, maybe give it a shot. Go look for it at your Total Wine & More or Bevmo, man. That Padrino hit. So I'm Dave from the 408. Thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube. Check us out. Send us some comments on Twitter at the Mike and Dave 1 or at Drew Evo. Drew, your final words for this week.
Guys, I know we all want to see this Canelo fight end so quickly because it's going to be boring. Like, seriously, I want us to watch this Joseph Parker fight at the end of the day because there's so much bullshit in boxing anymore. It's not even funny. It's more bullshit than it was back then.
Yo, I'm
But-
gonna take one shot. I know it's a work night, but because we do have listeners, so I'll take a shot for Joe.
I think Joey's doing it for you. So hit a like on that.
Yeah, cheers!
Video
Cheers
for-
to everyone
shot.
that is part of the boxing community on YouTube. We appreciate you hanging out with us because there's a million things you could be doing. So a shout out to them.
Let's see that expression. Is it hot?
No, it's like peppery, but it's not like that ghost pepper. That ghost pepper thing is like it'll kick you in the ass. This is good. You could sip this all day. This is
I
great.
drink mostly Jose Cuervo.
This is great. Highly recommend it. And so we were saying, you're saying the weekend is going to be boring, but you know what? I was a little disappointed Saturday because it wasn't the fireworks I was expected. It was a beat down, a clinic, and I was saddened to see Burchell on the floor like that. I hope he doesn't have any long-term damages. We still have Canelo Alvarez to look forward to see what's doing in his career. You said Joseph Parker. We have PBC on Fox for free at 5:00. Tell all your casual friends, put the fight on, because we got this young prospect that might be coming on the show, Jesus Ramos from PBC, an exciting prospect at 140 pounds.
You know what?
What up?
I might have an idea for casual boxing next week.
I want to hear that. And to anybody in the audience that might catch the end of this, if you got a cousin or a homeboy or a brother-in-law that is always, at the parties, he's always yapping to you like he knows everything about boxing, but he only watches boxing when you tell him Canelo's fighting, put them on our show. Let's have some fun. We call that Confessions of a Casual on the Shoeshine. And Drew, I want to know what that is, because I think we're still going to work on that. It's going to take off, man.
I have a really good idea. I gotta talk to her too to see if she'll do it.
All right, I like it. I'm Dave from the 408. It's been the Shoeshine. It's been a pleasure. Make sure you stay tuned and check us out at the Leave It in the Ring Radio Network on iTunes. You can subscribe there and give us some comments and feedback. And don't miss the roundtable this week and all of our colleagues. Peace.